Hi, Nicole.
Hi, Allie.
I'm so excited to be talking to you today about your Mushroom Medicine Oracle card deck. And it's
Yay.
out for pre-orders, which is so exciting. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you for being a part of this journey with me. And every step of the way, it feels like we kind of met during a really interesting time. And then you've been here throughout this whole Oracle deck creation.
Well, it's been so special to see your process and hear little snippets along the way. And I know that you've been communing with the mushrooms for a really long time, and only kind of more recently have really been sharing a lot about that. But I'd love to hear a little bit more about the origins, how you started communing with the mushrooms, and just where your journey began with them.
Hmm. Yeah, I could probably go back to childhood, just being a lover of nature and always living in the country. And being a tomboy, I am the only girl, surrounded by 5 brothers. And so nature has always been my safe place. But in 2015, I think it was around 2015, dates are a little blurry, but we got back from doing a 9-month, my family and I, sabbatical where we traveled around the US. And we landed at a beautiful country farmhouse owned by friends of ours. And it hadn't been lived in a long time. And they wanted some renovations and they wanted a family to be there and bless it. And so they asked us and we arrived. And they have it's 100 acres, 100-year-old farm. And there's this path that was mowed and lush green. And I just called it the Heart's Path. And every day I would walk this path and also through the woods. And that was just my part of my own grounding and healing journey. I'm a counselor, and at the time, and I've always just been super empathic. So anything that my family members were going through or clients or friends, I needed a way to expel everything and being a counselor. And so it just became my daily ritual to go out on that heart path and walk through the forest. And I would walk no matter how I felt, if I was happy or sad or angry, if I was confused, it didn't matter if I wanted to walk, it didn't matter if I was tired, it didn't matter if the weather was horrible, or there is no horrible weather for me, but in a way where an ice storm or something. And I just made that commitment to thrust myself out there. And I found that nature had this way of silencing my mind, and things would just open up almost like portals. And I would be transported into this really beautiful interconnected world. And I've always loved mushrooms, seeing them. They're fun, they're friendly, they're pretty. But this time I started to hear them. and I started to hear everything: the plants, the trees, the wind, the river. And so I just would take a journal and a little notepad, and I would just sometimes, if it felt profound and important, or when I would get home, I would journal and take some notes. But yeah, I just figured it was for me. It was my own kind of spiritual practice, and also clearing practice and grounding practice. And there was no intention in communicating with anybody. It was more of me silencing. It was through walking through everything in my psyche and everything in my life and relationships, this space opened up in this presence, and it just kept getting larger and larger and more fluid. So then fast forward to 2019, we moved from Michigan to New Hampshire, where we are now. And I had no idea that this was going to take place, but I went through a year-long massive healing journey where I lost my hearing, I lost my eyesight, I lost my hair, I lost my skin, I lost everything. I had to give away my relationships, what I thought these relationships meant, the different structures around what that means, and then most importantly around myself, and then my identity as a mother and a grandmother and a wife and a friend and a counselor. And yeah, it was a year-long vision quest of massive transformation. And again, it's just part of my daily practice and my love of nature that I would just throw myself outside and walk or sit until either I had to come back or it felt like I was ready. And the mushrooms, I just love them. I've always photographed them. I would commune with them and keep it in my journals. And it was almost it was through the rebirth of that healing crisis. It wasn't during the midst of the death. It was during more of the rebirth. I was out in the woods and I heard, okay, now you're going to turn us into an oracle deck. Just like so matter of fact. like, okay, you're done. And it was never in my awareness. I never had the thought, never had anything. So much so that I would tell my husband and probably even some of my friends, I would just be like, I don't even know why I do what I do. I mean, I still operate that way. I still don't know why I do any of the things I do. It's just, there's a feeling in me that says it's not even like I have to, it's just like, it's already happening. It's just already what I'm doing. And yeah, I'd be taking pictures, hundreds and thousands of pictures of mushrooms, and I'd be writing the messages I was receiving from them and transmissions. And I didn't even know why I was doing it. When I started creating little children's books, children for all ages, I instantly felt, oh, this is going to be one of them. There's going to be a mushroom book in there. Like that felt like, oh yeah, which still has not been created.
I was going to ask you about that.
I mean, it had, as soon as I say that, they're like, so yes, it has been, there's probably a couple of them that have been created, but I haven't completely compiled and extracted and put into and printed into a children's book. But yeah, so this oracle deck just in 2020 took a hold of my life, and I was I probably already had a lot of everything already done, but I'm a triple earth, I have a Taurus sun and a sun sign and a Virgo moon and a Capricorn ascendant, and I don't know if all that is why, but I do everything with a lot of integrity. I do everything with full presence and embodiment. I fully show up. And as soon as I was told it was going to be a mushroom oracle deck, I mean, I took it as a full-time job.
Yeah.
And that's been 2 years of, I do soul sessions. That's what I call my counseling sessions with people. And I was doing soul sessions with the mushrooms. And I'd go out in the woods and I would, with one at a time, just one-on-one, I would sit and be in soul session with each one. And that's the making of what is now open to the public on pre-sale, and we're moving ever closer to the full launch party. So
it's so amazing. What a journey you've been on with mushrooms. And I love it when you were saying that on your daily walks, the mushrooms just started talking to you. And so it's so clear to me that they chose you to be their conduit for bringing their messages out into the world. And you accepted the invitation. But some people might be curious. I know you said that you could hear their messages. What did that actually feel like or look like to you? Like you brought your journal out into the woods and you would take notes, but were you just hearing what sounded like thoughts in your head, or how did that come to you?
Yeah, it's hard to explain because my first feeling sense when I was younger and even through my 20s was feeling sense. It's still, I would say, the strongest, but I can hear, and I have clear knowing, like I have smell, taste, I have all of it. So, I'm 45 now, and I've been on this journey of being highly sensitive and telepathic and my whole life, and just embodying what, all of it, the whole journey that it's been taking me on.
Right.
I guess when I say hearing, it is hearing. It's not coming from inside me. It's not thoughts. It's like I could instantly identify who's talking.
Yeah.
And it's not like there became, which is another funny story, because it's not like they became like a human and had a mouth and communicated the way we communicate and look like the way we look like. It's more telepathic communication, but it is coming through. Like if somebody else was walking by me, they wouldn't have been able to hear it.
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's on like a vibrational wavelength that's just very different than what we're accustomed and used to thinking is normal. I do believe that we all communicate this way. If we have a thought and then someone picks up on it, or we think about somebody and then they call and they're like, I was just thinking about you. You know,
Yeah. Yeah.
we all have those experiences, and some people more often than others, but yeah, you just learn to surrender the rigidity around how things are supposed to be. And again, it has to do with silencing and becoming open and spacious. And through that open and spaciousness, you can feel and sense and hear things that otherwise you may have overlooked or just walked right by. I was laughing about, it's not like they became a human, because I do see even human-like faces and things everywhere. Like I see it in the water, and I see it in trees, and I see it in the mushrooms, and almost every mushroom I've taken a picture of, like there was times I'd get like a little wink, or it was almost like for a moment, just to be funny for me, they would kind of put on almost like a human structure face or something, just to like be like, see, and then it would go.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes I, was able to capture the photo of it.
I've seen some of those photos, or some, I think it was the one that's on the cover of your deck. Is that?
Oh yeah.
Oh yes. What's her name? What did you?
She's just Queen Belay.
Queen. Okay.
Yeah, mm-hmm. She's a Belay.
Yeah.
And this one, which I know you can't see because it's dark in here, this was an ice sprite, ice fairy that I was able to capture. But yeah, this, you might be able to see this one a little more. So there's.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Mm-hmm.
There she is.
Beautiful Queen. Mm-hmm. Thanks for explaining that. I think that's helpful for all of us, just to learn, how you were receiving the information and how you were communing with the mushrooms. And I'm sure, as you mentioned, that you were, hearing and seeing and feeling things from so many different consciousnesses on your walk, other plants and the trees. But was it just that the mushrooms were like ready to have this relationship with you? They were the strongest at that?
Well, it's not like I was getting, it wasn't over sensory load at all. Okay. Because it was more of a clean slate, like open spaciousness and just deep presencing and listening. And so you could hear a pin drop. Mm-hmm. Everything's there, but nothing's dominating and overpowering. It's too much of a equal existence in nature. And so, yeah, there might be birds and the river and the stones and the mushrooms and the trees and the plants and your own heartbeat. But again, there's still enough presence that if, a pin fell, you would hear it. So it's when you talk about the mushrooms, like, and if they chose me or whatever, I really deeply feel like they know me. Like they knew my childlike heart. They know my purity. They know everything. They know me better than anything. And they also knew my love and devotion to all things, to helping and being loving and kind and not segregating any part of my life. So, whether you're my husband or my children or my grandchildren or my friend or my client or a neighbor or a stranger, you're going to get me. And as honest of an expression of that as I can possibly be moment to moment. Um, and so the mushrooms, they know how much I love nature, which is everything. They know. And I also would find myself like a child because I have childlike joy. And so being out in nature, I would say hi to all my friends, whether verbally out loud, sometimes yes, but also through my heart in the energy vibration. And so all of nature can feel that. So they can feel the energy waves coming off of you. And they know when you go there to cry and you need healing. They know when you go there to play and rejoice. They know everything because they know it already through the vibrational imprint that you are contained, that you're expelling and expressing. And so you can't like hide. There's no secrets there. And so I feel like I talk to them. I would say hi. I would call them. They were always my friends forever. And then they started to tell me in 2015, one of the first things that they said to me was, and this was way before the movie came out, Fantastic Fungi, or before mushrooms became like the #1 hit thing, like you can't go anywhere without seeing them. In 2015, one of the first things they said is, we are the closest thing to family. We are your ancestry.
Oh,
and I told my husband back then, I said, this is what the fungi just shared with me. And I have it all written down. And then lo and behold, I don't even know what year that was, maybe 2019 or something. The Fantastic Fungi movie started to premiere. And a lot of what they said in that, I have in my notes from 4 years earlier. And so that just is confirming that all those that are communing with nature and are out there and giving their devotion and time and energy, nature's going to give that back.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you said that the mushrooms are like your family, and you've talked to me before about how a big message in general from the mushroom kingdom is that they heal the family line and ancestral patterns and all of that. Do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Oh, yeah, I have goosebumps. Thank you for remembering that. To speak just from my heart and my own personal experience, because I don't talk as if it's a truth, like everyone has to know this, like as if I'm writing something and putting it in cement, because it's more of a personal journey that we all can go on. It's more of an invitation to say, okay, Nicole went on this journey and this is what she discovered. And I'm just going to share that. It's my journey. And maybe it's going to help you to go out there and start to have your own journey and experience this. But it's not like it's Nicole said this and this will happen for everyone. I have no idea what's going to come through anybody because it's so personal. And again, it has to do with your vibrational imprint. There's a lot of things involved, but the healing, the ancestry, and the family lineage, it goes back to what we just talked about, like the mycelium and the fungi, the bacteria. We're all made up of all of it. It's not separate from you.
Right. Mm-hmm.
You are contained within it. You are made of it. It's helping you. It's flourishing. It's within you. It's outside of you. It's everywhere. And when you even just feel into the evolution of life and even the cycles of like the seasons, where you have spring, the new growth, and then you have summer, it's ripening, and then you have fall, it's like, okay, it's all falling from the trees now, and then you have winter, which is more the hibernation, or what we call the death phase. And everything is made up with all of it to regenerate itself and to create life. And we need all of these cycles and changes. And so the mushrooms are such an amazing expression of that. They teach us that there's beauty in the dying and the letting go, and they return us back. Like, you're not afraid of dying. You're not afraid. And it's not, it could be physical death, like shutting the body, but it could also be spiritual, metaphorical, symbolic of just how much we acquire day by day, moment by moment. And this, we need to let it go and release so that it can become cyclical again. But yeah, families and relationships can become very sticky, and we think we know, like, I'm from this, I'm from here, and I'm from there, and I'm of this origin, or these are, even that whole I don't know how much some people are still believing it, but when I was growing up, there was a lot of this energy and pressure around loyalty, like as if blood, your blood is the people that's got your back, like that's family, the blood. Doesn't matter if you like them, it doesn't matter if they've abused you, doesn't matter. It's family. And there's been a lot of oppression and suppression and secrets and covering things up in families because of that loyalty. But the mushrooms have this way of dismantling, almost like in shamanism, transfiguration, and just burning everything away so that you can be in the purity and divinity, which almost is that like empty space, which is everything but also nothing, only to then reform you in the way that's connected to everything and have your rightful place as the earth herself, as nature itself, and among all of your family members in truth, without that segregation and like, no, you belong here, you belong over there, you're not one of us. And it like has this beautiful way of like returning us to, I just keep hearing them say, if you're here, then you belong here.
Yeah, that's so beautiful. And as you're talking, it just feels like the mushrooms are just one of the most important teachers right now for this time that we're in, where so many people are afraid of the death process and of decomposing and all of that. And it's like there's such this disconnect from the earth and from the plants, and it feels like if we were able to reconnect like you are doing, with the mushrooms and with all of nature, connecting and building relationship and honoring and acknowledging all of them, forming that relationship, then, as a society, if we were doing that, then the fear of death and the fear of, even not physical death, but dying in death phases, as you were describing before, would be less of a big fear.
Yeah, it's interesting because it kind of takes me to, because when we operate from a place of our beliefs, then how the mushrooms work with that is they show you where everything's right and everything's wrong. So it can get really confusing because they have a way of like turning everything upside down on itself and shaking everything out, only for you to kind of laugh and finally see the cosmic joke. And so why I'm saying that is, yes, death, like physical dying, is a real thing that can be even painful at times and tragic and also beautiful and ecstatic. It's all of it, and we never know how it's going to be for ourselves or for another. And so there is an element of like sadness and pain and fear, and I think it's okay. I think that's how the mushrooms bring everything to wholeness again, is yeah, they have to strip away everything only to bring it all back in a new way where everything does belong. So, we are always dying, and we're always being rebirthed. Every cell, every part of us, every part of life. And so although it is simultaneous and it's always occurring, we do have these human experiences and relationships where when we do shed the body, or someone we love sheds their body, there's that longing and we feel that separation, and that's a part of it. And so I think there has to be enough space for us to include that, and not just like, spiritually bypass and just instantly make everything like, because there's numbness there, and it's actually not real inclusion. Real inclusion holds a space for everything. It doesn't compartmentalize like, oh, this is just natural, this is just normal, and then you don't allow yourself to grieve or go through the agony. And so we all have to meet all those places within ourselves, whatever it is. And it has to be honest. You can't sugarcoat anything, you can't numb, because like I was saying, how the mushrooms, like nature knows you. It knows your vibrational imprint in every moment. You can't lie to it. It's always being expressed from you. And everything that you are connecting with and walking through is going to pick up on that and feel that. And so sometimes you might even think, oh, I'm okay with that. Or I don't, yeah, no problem. We're all going to die. It's going to be fine. Or whatever. And then there actually could be places inside that's like, no, this is really scary. And I don't want to die. Or whatever it's going to be. And so that wholeness has to authentically, honestly include everything. Your worst nightmare and your most ecstatic best dream and everything in between.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
again, it's not a mental construct. We can't think our way into it because the mushrooms are going to dismantle everything and show you places within yourself that even you were either willing to look or had forgotten about, or even convinced yourself that you were telling the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't, eat mushrooms. I didn't do psilocybin, like none of this, I'm very clear about, because it's called mushroom medicine, and mushroom is medicine, like plant medicine, reishi and chaga. There's so many edibles, but also medicinal mushrooms. But this is not a deck that is talking about medicine in that way.
Right.
It's talking about this telepathic soul to soul communion, and that we are always conversing and ingesting in more than our nose and mouth, right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Every part of us is in this fluid, energetic exchange of information all the time. Mm-hmm. And you can receive downloads and telepathic communication with a plant or the river or the stones or the mushrooms and receive exactly the dose that you needed in that moment. And it will spiral. It will take you like all medicine, and it will like medicine, it will do exactly what it needs to do in exactly all the right places and parts of your body, mind, and spirit.
Yeah. Feels like there's a lot of unraveling with the mushrooms, that each mushroom in their different ways and their different messages kind of has something to do with like the breaking down or unraveling of whatever it is that specific mushroom has.
We can't go into things as if we know, because it will have a way of showing you where you're ignorant. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Not in a very loving, playful way. Yeah. And like that cosmic joke thing, like, oh, I thought that. And they're like, yeah, we know. Because you can't be that spacious openness when you're caught up in dogma and so rigid with your beliefs. There's got to be, and it's so interesting, Allie, because as much as it's breaking down and dismantling, it's also reconnecting. Mm. And so, yeah, like somebody hearing this could be like, well, then what's going to be left if, it's just giving up everything and becoming an empty, clean slate, and then having no identity or thoughts or beliefs about anything. No, it's not. There's nothing wrong with beliefs. There's nothing wrong with thoughts. They're fun. They're inspirational. They're powerful. They can wreak havoc or create the most amazing things. But it's how we hold on energetically and in our system and in our makeup, mentally, emotionally, physically, in our soul. It's like we compartmentalize and we store things and we hold on to things as if it's the truth, and we don't let there be room for change and evolution and growth. But nature is all about change and evolution and growth. And so it's okay to have a belief. It's okay to be passionate. It's okay to have thoughts. It's okay to have all of that. The mushrooms just have to work their way through all of this into this space so that you can be organic moment to moment and not be so tied and imprisoned by them. Like have them, have fun with them, be passionate, be angry, be sad, be whatever, have a story, share it, and then let it go.
Yes. I love what you just said at the beginning of that about as much as the mushrooms, unravel and decompose, they connect. And if we think about, the physical mushrooms, physical reality, and that they're a big purpose of theirs for the earth is breaking down and decomposing. But then the mycelial networks are all connected underneath, and it's like, of course, they're doing both at the same time. Yeah.
So beautiful. And you can close your eyes and you can open up your energy field to just start to commune with your own nervous system, your own energetics, your own bacteria, and be in the space with nature and the trees and in the soil and the plants and within your body, and realize there's always this fluid connection, almost like those synapses of light traveling and bouncing from one to the next, and how we are all in this together. And whatever I do to my mind and body, I'm doing out there, and whatever I'm doing out there, I'm doing in here. And it's just this really profound love affair and exchange, and so powerful.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
I'm curious, Nicole, when you were assembling the deck and really, kind of past the point of just solely going outside and communing, and when you were really starting to put together the oracle deck, whether there were specific mushroom spirits who were your guiding spirits for the deck. I mean, I'm guessing that each mushroom had its specific purpose, and you have 33, right?
Yeah.
33 mushrooms in the deck. They each serve a purpose, but were there a few that were the, guiding spirits for you? Or one?
yeah, it's so fun because I have a really deep respect and connection to all of them. And I didn't know what 33 were going to be in the deck. I was told, okay, now this is going to be a deck. And I was so excited and just like, oh my gosh, I'm making an oracle deck, like innocently, naively. And I went through my photos, which were thousands, and I took out like one of every species, because I have multiple of every species.
Oh
So
boy.
I just was like putting in a file, one of every species over the last, 5 years. And because this was in 2020 and I've been doing it since 2015. And I sent them off to like, a printing company, just mail like an order, one that comes in the mail. I didn't count them. I didn't even have numbers in my head. I just was noticing the different species. And I'm like, yep, I need that one. Nope, I don't have that one yet. And I just had them in a folder, and then I sent off to the printers, and then they came in the mail. And they came in like, just a square like size.
Oh yeah.
And so they came in the mail, and I was so excited, and I received this box, and I'm putting them all over. I have a long kitchen table, and I'm doing my whole kitchen table and laying them out. And I counted them, and there was 111.
Of course you were.
So I just started laughing. Like, it just felt so divinely guided. And like, for those who don't work with numbers, like when you see the same sequence of numbers appearing, it's just this really beautiful confirmation that you're being divinely guided. And so again, I was so excited, and I'm like, okay, a traditional deck has like 78, and I'm just like getting ahead of myself, and I'm just like excited, and and they're just like, whoa. Like, and there's going to be 33. And I was like, no, that's not enough. Like, I argued with it, like, no, that's not, like, I have 111, and the first deck's going to be 33. So I could make a mushroom medicine deck a few times over with that I have. But the ones like, okay, so the Bolay, obviously.
Yes. Yeah.
Obviously. Huge.
Queen.
But when you first were asking the question, I instantly felt Rishi show up. And
that's what I was feeling too.
Yeah. And Rishi has been a huge part of this journey as far as like the one that's saying we're putting this out into the world. So it's not like me personally, it's like kind of the spokesperson and saying, and everyone else needs this too.
Yeah.
The chanterelles right now, I'm just like, yeah, they have really been in this, like I would call it in in the top 3 to 5 space holders
Yeah.
that have really been here. But also right now, like I just have giant puffball, just has has this way with me that, like, for people who just love to hug a stuffed animal or a pillow, or just feel this loving companion and presence, it's that definitely for me personally has been a support, just letting me know that I can do this and that I am being supported. Yeah, it's interesting because I don't eat mushrooms, just because my whole life, even as a child, I never liked them. And then my husband loves them. So we forage together. And every once in a while, he'll be like, well, try it. So I'll try it to see if I like it. And I don't. And so I don't eat them. I do make medicine. So I do make tinctures and can energetically do that if need be. But usually the tinctures I make, I don't even need to take. I have a whole cabinet of tinctures that I make that usually I'm like, why am I making, again, that goes back to like, I don't even know why I'm doing, like, why am I making this if I don't have to take it internally, because I can feel it energetically. I give things as gifts, for Thanksgiving and Christmas and different things.
Right.
And then, yeah, if someone in my family or a friend or somebody comes to me and they need something, I have it. But yeah, I can't say there's 100%. Well, they said yes. Yes, I have Bole. It's Bole.
Okay. Yeah. Yep. Beautiful. And then just backing up a little bit, for people who haven't worked with Oracle card decks before, what is an Oracle card deck?
So just from me describing it in this moment, because probably ask me 100 times and maybe I'll give you 100 different ways of saying it.
Yes.
I'm trying to think of the first time I found Oracle, what year that was. It's so funny because I was raised not in a rigid Christian family, even though they had that structure in their upbringing, where anything like to commune even with like God or anything yourself was almost like, ooh, you could be walking some dangerous line. You probably should go see a minister or a priest and have them validate if you're actually, there's just been a lot of fear and misguided information, almost like you can't have this relationship yourself. It's got to go through some church channel. And usually it was, some man authority that you didn't even really know, didn't know you, and they would tell you whether or not. So anyway, I wasn't like, when I was growing up, I didn't know about tarot or Oracle. No one even told me to steer away from it. I didn't even know it existed. But in my early 20s, I started to find things, and they started to feel more like this beautiful artwork. They're cards and they're books and they're images that are just really beautiful and speak to you. You either are in resonance with it or you're not. And the difference a lot of times with the tarot versus the Oracle, although they can kind of cross paths with certain creators, the difference, it's more Oracle. It tends to be a little softer and like more affirmations and lighter, uplifting, inspiring messages. And tarot is an actual set, a structure that's already been created that you kind of follow, but you can put your own twist on things. But yeah, you basically just have this deck of cards, and you can bring them to your heart and close your eyes and just breathe and start to, again, like we talked about with this energetic exchange, you can just know that right now your energy field, your heart, your mind, body, soul is communing with these cards, and the cards are communing with you. And so even before you have to physically say anything, it already kind of knows. But it can be helpful to get clarity. And sometimes you can just say, give me a message that I most need to hear today. Or you can have a personal issue coming up in your life, and you can say, I would like a card that holds the highest vibration around this issue. And it doesn't even have to be a painful issue. It can be like, let's say you have a new job or some change happen in your life and you're really excited, but maybe you have a few choices to make, or maybe you're just questioning, like, is this really the right path? And you're just asking for the soulful validation coming from your own energy field. Give me confirmation from inside myself and put it outside myself and show me, like, give me a sign. It's no different than when you're praying and you're like, God, give me a sign. And there's a song on the radio or a literal sign that you drive past, or a friend starts to say something, or, you watch a movie and it has a little thing that you're like, oh, I needed to hear that. So all of this, all of life is always communicating with us and answering our prayers and giving us signs. But a lot of times, similar to when we were talking about walking through the woods, if you're so full of your own stuff, you kind of pass all this other stuff by. You don't recognize it. It has to get louder and louder for you to recognize. So working with Oracle is a way to, like, get quiet, put the intention into the cards to say, hey, I'm going to have you commune with me because I know that you know all those hidden places. You know what I'm thinking, you know what I'm feeling, you know my past, you know everything. So, give me a sign and show me exactly what I need most, even if it's beyond what I think I need. And then you shuffle, and there's many ways to shuffle. Some people just like spread it out on a table or on the floor and close their eyes, and they just feel and pick one that way. And usually, I would tell people to do this with their eyes closed because it just helps to get out of that thinking mind and get back into that space of the heart that does kind of surrender and says, okay, like, this is what I think I need, or this is what I think I want, or this is the problem I think I'm having, but let me soften and close my eyes and go within and bring it down to my heart, and let me ask. It's not even asking the cards, because the cards are only giving you the truth of your energy. They're not, the cards don't have an ego. The cards aren't like, this is like a doc, like, this is what I think you need. They don't have an ego. They don't have that personality structure. There's just, like, in my deck, there's 33 cards. So you have a chance of one of 33, and you're going to let it commune with your energy field. And through it's picking up on your energy field, the right card out of those 33 are going to show up for you. But it's all coming from you. Yeah, we can actually do that. I could actually draw. I don't have the physical deck. It's being printed right now through the pre-sale. But I have the makeshift I made on wedding card stock.
Yeah.
Fun.
Yeah. And in addition to the deck, you have a book that goes along with it, right?
I do. Yep. 87-page full color, has poems, and it has additional channelings that the mushrooms have shared.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really beautiful. So you get to have that with extended, obviously, messages. So the cards have the picture of the mushroom that I took from my nature walks and communion, but then they also have kind of like a condensed message. And then you open the book and there's an extended message.
Okay. Yeah. Beautiful. Amazing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Did you want to pick one? Is that what?
Sure. Yeah. So let's see what wants to come through. I have no idea who's going to be watching this. Let's see. So for anyone that is tuning in, as well as the mushrooms and Allie and we just open up this space and invite the mushrooms to share some words of wisdom that feels most relevant for this time and space and whatever we're going through collectively, but also personally in our own mind, body, relationships, and life. We have the golden spindles.
Oh, and do you want to read the message?
So this is the abbreviated message.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And there's a little changes also on the actual deck, but I'll leave that as a surprise. So the key words are embrace, seriousness and joy, as well as play. So turn your attention towards that which brings you joy. Not to ignore the suffering, but to comfort the disheartened. Remember, even in the most serious moments of our lives, there is play, laughter, lightness, and gladness. We, the golden spindles, rise up to share these pointers with you. With all the places our attention and focus can look, we point the way up. It's okay to lighten your load, lighten up and rise up. It's a new day.
That's so beautiful. So perfect. Thank you.
Can you see the picture, Allie? Is it turning out?
Yep. Little fingers. Oh, thank you for that. And anything else that you would like to share before we start to wrap up?
I just want to thank you for creating this platform and an opportunity and space for us to connect and share some of the creation process and what inspired all of this and the journey.
Quite the journey.
Just being a beautiful friend and sister on the path, and taking the time and energy to sit with me and do this, and thanking the mushrooms, the fungi kingdom, the mycelium, all of nature, and all the people that feel this deep connection or longing to return to, and are being guided to these places for their own healing, for their own reconnection. It's so funny because I don't know much, I don't know the journey this deck is going to take. I don't know. I'm happy with having a copy myself. I'm happy to be able to share a copy with my loved ones, my grandchildren. But knowing that this deck is going to be out there in many people's hearts and homes, it's just so, I know from my own personal journey, the potency and where these mushrooms can help and heal and take you. It's just the most rewarding thing to know that so many people are going to experience exactly what they need at exactly the right time, the way I did. As a soul counselor and someone who's been helping in the helping profession for a long time, it's just been this lifelong journey of being able to show up or share wisdom or be a space within myself or create something that is going to return people to having this trust within themselves. You're not putting your trust in the deck. You're not putting your trust in me. You're putting this trust in your own divine relationship. Your deck is going to be your deck. It's not Nicole's deck. Nicole's deck is Nicole's deck, and it's going to be in vibrational relationship with me. And everyone gets to have that. And it's just the most heart-opening. It brings me to tears. I have no words other than thank you. Thank you for entrusting in this and going on this journey, and even beyond trusting in me and my creation, or that I was the vessel in which it was created through. When you're doing this, you're actually putting the trust back in yourself and your own divinity and your own the nature that is ultimately you.
I love that. Thank you so much, Nicole, for being such a beautiful conduit for the mushroom medicine and for connecting so deeply and in such integrity with not only the mushroom spirits, but all of nature and everything in your surroundings, and just bridging that gap that we are, seeing in a lot of society with the disconnect, and just bringing it back in relationship and connection. It's been so beautiful to watch, and thanks for sharing your wisdom and your journey with us all today on how the mushroom medicine oracle card deck came to be. So we will share you're using GoFundMe as a platform for collecting the payments, and it's not a donation, it's a payment for the card deck. So we'll put the link with the video so people can access that. And thank you so much. Again, I'm looking forward to getting mine in hand as well. I know you are too.
Thank you, Allie. It's been a pleasure. And to be continued, yes, we'll put all the posts that need to be there. I'm very active on Instagram and Facebook and Mighty Networks. And there's, if you want to find it, you will find it. And yes, the GoFundMe is basically the same as Kickstarter. It's a way to collect the money in a pool and be able to send that off to the printers. It's not even I'm not even doing this to make a profit. There's not this, that right now it's the first printing run needs to be funded. And how the printing companies work is the bigger the bulk of the orders, the more efficient it is for them, because they print on these huge, massive sheets. And so for them to do 100 decks is like a piece of cake for them. Even though 100 can feel like a lot to us, it actually is even more ideal for them to do 500, 1,000 and plus runs. It's more efficient. And so right now I'm hoping, that we can do the 100 print run and make that happen, but I'm holding no limits. I've been definitely guided by the mushrooms to not place a limit and say, I only need 100 for the printers. It's, bring it on. It can be millions. Like, let's let the mushrooms grow and do what they need to do. And I'm out of it. I'm just seeing and going on the journey with all of you guys too. Because either way, those of us that have purchased are going to receive their deck. So it's already beautiful. And if it wants to grow, further and more, then wonderful. So
yes, it will.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you so much, Allie.
Bye.